This is called a double-breasted shirt. This is not a double-breasted suit. This is a double-breasted shirt, and it is a short sleeve. I'll be taking you guys through the process of cutting this step by step. You can see the lapel, and if I take this a little bit down, you can see that it's actually overlapped by at least 3 inches, right? So without further ado, let's get straight into the video, and do not forget to smash the like button. So this is the fabric I'll be using. I need you guys to pay good attention in this video very well. I already folded my fabric into 2, right? I'm going to put the measurement right there on the screen so that you guys can follow up step by step. So now my chest measurement, as you guys can see on the screen, is 40 inches. Pay good attention to what I am doing in this video and do not skip. If you skip, you might miss something that is important. So now I'm going to divide my chest circumference, which is 40 divided by 4 inches, right? 40 divided by 4, right? Which will give me a total of 10 inches. That is the frame that I will be drawing on this fabric right there so that you guys can understand. Now I'm going to add an extra 1 inch for my sewing allowance. Extra 1 inch for my sewing allowance. So the measurement is going to start after the label on the fabric itself. So now 40 divided by 4, which is 10 plus 1, will give me 11 inches. So I'm going to mark my 11 inches at this place right here. You guys can see that. And also at this place, I'm going to mark my 11 inches. You can see. And now I'm going to measure my length. I want to do this one after the other so that you can understand what I am doing. So my length measurement is 28 inches. Right? So I'm going to mark my 28 inches at this place. 28 inches. I'm going to mark my 28 inches at this place. You can see that. Mark my 28 here. And also at this side, I'll mark my 28 here also. So this is my accurate chest measurement plus the allowance. If assuming it is not a double-breasted, right? This is the accurate chest circumference plus our allowance. If it is not a double-breasted. If you're just working with a normal shirt, this is exactly how we're going to cut out our frame, right? So I want you guys to understand that. So now, after that is done, you're now supposed to determine how much you want the shirt to overlap one another, right? How much do you want the shirts to overlap one another? So now I want the shirt to overlap at a total of 3.5 inches. 3 inches is okay. The 0.5 inches is for the sewing, right? So I'll be adding extra half of an inch for the sewing. So I'll be adding an extra half of an inch for the sewing, right? So I'm doing this one after the other so that you guys are going to understand very well. So now at this front part right here, I'm going to make it a total of 3.5. I'm going to add an extra 3.5 to that. That is what is going to give us the double-breasted. That's what is going to give us the overlap on the chest. I hope you guys understand that. If assuming I just calculated all these things together, you might not understand the part that is the double-breasted. That's why I do it separately, so you're going to understand. So now I'm going to mark my 3.5 here. You can see that 3.5 inches here. I'm going to mark it here. And I'm also going to mark my 3.5 inches at this place. You can see that. You can see that. So now we have our entire frame plus the overlap. We have our entire frame plus the overlap. So if I measure it from the down part, which is our 11 inches plus our 3.5 inches, we give us a total of 14.5 inches for our front panel. So this is the front panel. It gives us a total of 14.5 inches for the front panel. So I want you guys to pay good attention here. So after connecting everything together, all I have to do now is just to cut it out. Then we are going to cut our back. So now in order to cut our back, all we have to do is just to cut. This is the front panel, right? If we want to cut our back, all we have to do now is to, you can see that I double the fabric. So whatever I'm cutting now, I'm cutting the left side of the front panel and the right side of the front panel. So I'm going to cut this out. So if we are to cut our back now, all we have to cut out is our 11 inches exact body frame. That is what we're going to cut. And we're going to add an extra 4 inches to our length for the shoulder overlap. So I need you guys to pay attention. You can see that. So I'm just going to cut this out also. You can see what I have. So this is my entire frame. So now at this place, this our overlap, we have to fold it inside. I'm going to fold it inside exactly on that mark, on that straight mark. I'm going to simply fold it like this. You can see that. And I'm going to iron it down. You can see what I'm doing here. And also at this place, I'm going to fold it down and basically iron it. You can see that. It's actually a very simple design. If you pay attention, you're going to understand. If you're enjoying the video so far and you know that you're definitely going to get something out of the video, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. It's very simple. I'm going to cut out this label on the fabric edge. If you are not using it, it's not necessary, not useful. So I'm just going to cut it out. And don't forget to measure our borders after that label on the fabric. So now all we have to do now is just to cut out our main back. The wideness of the back is going to give us 11 inches, which our main body measurement. That's our chest divided by 4 plus our 1 inch allowance. So I'm just going to fold my fabric, then cut out the back. So let me fold the fabric and show you guys the cutting of the back also. So I'm going to add an extra 4 inches to the down part of the back for the shoulder overlap. So right now this is my back. I already fold it into two. Back panel, this is the back panel. So the wideness here is a total of 11 inches. Let me show you guys so that you know that I'm doing exactly what I'm saying I'm doing. 11 inches, you can see that. And the length that I will be having here, don't forget our main length is 28 inches. 28 inches plus 4 inches, which will give us a total of 32 inches, right? You can see that's the 4 inches downward layer, which will give us a total of 32. The 4 inches is for the shoulder to overlap on the shoulder of the back to overlap on the shoulder of the front. You can see here. So I need you guys to pay attention here. If you're working for a child, it might not be up to 4 inches, but for anywhere above 15 years old, I use 4 inches for my shoulder overlap. You can see what I have here. So this is my back panel. So all I'm going to do now is to place my front panel on top of the back panel. You can see, make sure the button area is actually directed to your side. That's the closed part. You can see, make sure it's coming down right here to your side. So what I have here, and make sure the edge is actually center line. Make sure it is aligned very well. See what I'm having. Make sure it is aligned very well. You see that? See that? See that? Align it very well. And if you look at the down part, you can see that I have the extra 4 inches. You can see that the extra 4 inches is at the downside. You see that? So at this place now, all I will be doing now is to slant my shoulder before cutting out all of the thing we need to cut. So here I'll be slanting my shoulder by 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches. So from that 3.5 inches that I mark, I'm going to connect it to the tip of the neck area. You can see that. Tip of the neck area. And I'm going to simply cut it out. You can see. So that's basically very simple. So after cutting out the shoulder line, after slanting the shoulder, we're going to drag this down part in order to align with the edge, in order to align with the hem. You see what I have here? See that? After that, align with the hem. I'm going to fold my shoulder. You can see here, I'm going to fold my shoulder by half of an inch. That's 0.5. That's usually what I used to fold my shoulder with, maximum half of an inch. You can see that. So when I'm stitching, I'll be stitching half of an inch at that particular place so that it's going to be aligned together. Half of an inch overlap, and I'm going to iron it down. Hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. This is not the most technical part. If you're sewing a shirt, you can actually get it up to this stage. But the overlap, the double-breasted part is the most tricky part. So I need you guys to pay attention very well. That is very important. So after ironing it very well, I'm going to measure my shoulder. You can see that's the overlap right here. Just do it exactly the way I'm doing it. If you follow this step by step, you're going to get exactly the same results. So now my shoulder is 18 inches. My shoulder is 17.5 inches. So I'm going to add an extra half of an inch to that for my sewing allowance. So I'm going to mark 9 here. That's 18 divided by 2, which will give us 9. You can see that. I'm going to mark it right here. And I'm going to go down by exactly the same thing, 9 inches. 9 inches. I use exactly my shoulder measurement to gauge my armhole circumference. That's my shoulder divided by 2 will give me my armhole circumference. That's usually what I use. You can see that. And here, you see what I have here. I'm going to simply connect that to the armhole area. So after connecting that, that's my main armhole circumference. I'm going to go in a little bit. You can see that, in order to make the curve so that our hand won't be too wrinkled, at all. I'm going to go down by like half of an inch and connect it as well. You see what I have there so far. So after that is done, I'm going to mark my neck circumference. So I need you guys to pay attention here. I'm going to mark my neck circumference. So my neck is a total of 15.5 inches, 16 inches, like 15.5 actually. So 15.5, I'm going to mark 4.5 inches downward and 2.5 inches wideness. You can see right here. So after I get that, I'm going to simply connect that. If you're making a shirt, and because the chest of the shirt is actually opened, so you don't need like a totally accurate 100% neck cuffing at this part, right? So just pay attention at this place. So now after you get your neck circumference, you can just basically measure each round in order to know that it is accurate. So if it's 16 divided by 2 will give us a total of 16 divided by 2 will give us 8 inches, right? So if you measure from the tip right here, all the way like this, it has to end at 8 inches. But here it's a little bit more than 8 inches. You see what I have here? So in order to reduce that, just reduce it from the M part, from that down part, just reduce it a little bit upward. And if you remeasure it, it's going to give you your exact measurement. So after you get that, the next thing we're going to do now is to simply cut the neck. So from inside, lift this up a little bit. I've did several videos on how to cut a neck, how to cut armhole, and all of this part. The most tricky part of the outfit is the overlap of the shirt, the double overlap of the shirt. So pay attention at this place. This is the most important part. So here, from that neckline, depending on how you want the collar to be, the lapel, I want it to go down like this. You can see. You see what I have here? Just like that. You can see what I have. So that's where the collar is going to connect with and come to our neck area. So I'm going to cut out my neck now, just like this. You see that? So make sure you're cutting both the down part. You see, the down part, I already cut the down part also with the upper part. You're going to cut it together. But for the back, you can see that I did not cut the back together. I cut only the upper part of the back. You can see that. That's why I'm lifting it up for you guys to see it clearly. You can see that. So here, I'm going to cut it together like this. See what I have? See what I have here? And at this place, I'm going to simply trim it out. So that is what our neck is going to look like. You see what the neck looks like. So at this place, I'm going to leave the overlap up a little bit. Let me adjust the camera very well. Okay, I'm going to leave the camera the overlap up a little bit and cut out that part. I'm cutting only the overlap, not the fabric itself, not the bodice. You can see that. So I'm going to cut that part out. You can see what I have. So that's what we're going to be having so far. You see it. So after that is cut, I'm going to align this together so that you guys are going to understand before sewing this, taking you guys through the process of the sewing. I'm going to trim this part out a little bit, all the way down. I'm just going to cut like 1 inch. I'm going to start for the tip from the, just the tip from the edge, and I'm going to cut out like 1 inch all the way down. You can see that. I hope you guys understand the video and you guys enjoy it. If you are enjoying it, make sure you smash that like button. You should do that, and make sure you comment if you have any question. So after that is done, I'm going to cut out my armhole just like this. You can see that. You can see that. So after that is cut, after cutting the back, I'm going to basically cut out the front as well. You can see that. You can see that. Basically very simple. So far this is what you're going to be having. So I'm going to open this up and align it so you're going to understand what I am doing in this video. You see that? This is what the back is going to look like. So if I place the front over the back, you can see here, if I place the front over the back, you can see what I have here. And if you can see here, if I lift this up, I open this, you can see what the lapel is going to look like. You can see that. And from that lapel area, that's where we're going to connect our collar all the way to where we want it to stop and where we want it to end. And if I place this one also, you can see right here, it's actually very simple. So we're going to sew this together step by step, so you're going to understand all of these things we are doing in this video. So if I open this one also up like this, you can see we're going to do the sewing and the ironing together, so you guys are going to understand. You can see if I open this up like this, you're going to have your lapel opening, and you're going to fix your collar, and you're going to look as clean and nice as possible. You see what we have? That's if you want the chest to be closed, but if you want the chest to be open, you can just open it to how much you want it to be open. You see what we have? So after this is done, the next thing we are going to do is to cut out the facing that we are going to use to turn up the lapel area, right? The facing. So I'm going to cut out the facing, and we're going to go to the sewing aspect of the video. So just take one panel of the front panel, just take one part of the front panel, you can see, and I'm going to take a piece of fabric that I will use to cut the facing. Just a straight fabric is enough. The straight fabric like this, you can see that. Just the straight fabric like this, and I'm going to place it above. I'm going to place the panel above it. So now make sure it's overlapped by at least 1 inch. Make sure from the center part of the neck itself, you know that line is the one that determine our overlap, right? From the center part, make sure it's overlapped by at least 1 inch. You can see that place. Make sure it's overlapped by 1 inch. So from that place right now, I'm going to trim this part. You can see, just like that. I'm going to trim this all the way down. So make sure you cut the facing for both the left and the right side of the front panel. It's very simple, both the left and the right side of the front panel. You can see that it's actually very simple. So far this is what you're going to be having. All we have to do is to basically stitch it to the fabric and do a turn up before we do our joining and everything. So this is all the cutting aspect, and also you have to cut your sleeve, and I already did several videos on cutting of a sleeve. It's basically the same thing. So all we are going to do now is to do the padding and do the sewing step by step. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and without further ado, let's go into the sewing aspect. But I'll be uploading that shortly after I upload this video. So make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're yet to subscribe. If you want to join my intensive class, a link will be in the description.